Hey everybody, and welcome to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. We are showing some major plasma filaments here as we've got space weather on the way along with summer. So welcome to the brightest week of the year for the Northern Hemisphere viewers. We've got a very dense plasma filament there just south of Sunspot 4114. So that's that bright region that you see on there, right north of the center of the solar disk. So right in that northern region there, you can see north of the equator a dense dark region there. That is a solar plasma filament, and that one could blast off at any moment here. So fingers crossed for that, as space weather is already on the way. So there's the full Monty view of that, and we're going to show some amazing space weather solar videos here, really solar videos, coronagraphs, and so on. So possible more space weather on the way. Sunspot 4114, which is the main offender, is quite magnetically complex, and we'll be showing you some imagery of that here momentarily. So here's our next view here. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to press subscribe. Thanks to everybody who has. Thanks to all of our viewers. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. All right, so this is a 48-hour video that starts at around 1200 Universal Time on the 15th and runs until about 1200 Universal Time on the 17th, June 2025. That is 94 angstroms SDO, 48 hours approximately. We do have another active region there rising in the southeast, so that's something to keep an eye on. And when I say ion, well, the pun was intentional. Here's a close-up of Sunspot 4114 and its surrounding sunspots. There are a number of spots actually in that group. We've included the Earth scale there for your viewing pleasure. Not half bad. Here we've switched to the same view, but with 131 angstroms, another ionized iron species there at the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Here's ionized helium, 304 angstroms. And helium makes up about 23% of the solar body. It's about 75% hydrogen and about 23% helium. So there, where you see those bright regions, that's a lot of helium. Dark regions, not a lot of helium visible. There's the full disk in that same wavelength. We do have a massive prominence kicking off right now in the southwestern limb. You'll see that at the very end of the video. Again, a new active region also rising there in the southeast. So there's never a complete lack of activity going on. It's the closest star. It's pretty rowdy even at solar minimum. So here is our coronagraph, and you'll see a multitude of coronal mass ejections happening here in the past 24 hours. Some of that ejecta is likely to strike Earth, and indeed it could be a major geomagnetic storm. We'll have to forecast a little bit higher than the forecasts by NOAA here. We could easily see a G2 to G3. There is some minor possibility of even a G4 because there's a very clear space in between Earth and Sun right now, as we've been having lots of space weather. So that tends to sweep out the clutter of slow-moving plasma in between Sun and Earth, and you can see an intensification of CME impacts as a result of previous CME impacts and coronal hole high-speed streams. Here's the full zoom out, including the LASCO C3 there in blue. One of the planets there moving into view. Not sure which one. I'm not going to guess. Although I have only two candidates that I would guess. Anyway, this video is about space weather, not about planets. Planets really aren't space weather. Anyway, let's go back to our Chrome browser, our Opera browser here for a minute, because I just want to show you what's going on with the magnetic field situation. So let's just do a quick tutorial here. If you bring up the SDO data page, bring up the SDO data page, please. I think that's the right one. Actually, that's the right one. And you bring up Browse Data. We're just going to look at today's data here for Sunspot 4114. So first we'll look at the 171 plus magnetogram. That's pretty sweet. Give it a minute to load. And by the way, it might take a lot of time for your request to go through. There we are. I've actually changed this to just the colorized magnetogram here because, okay, so that's just today. That's June 17th, 2025. Pardon the strobing effects there. That happens as it fully loads. It's actually degraded a little bit since the last time we viewed, but there are still some deltas there, so the possibility for strong flares remains. Anyway, let's cut back to our fantastic imagery from today and close this video out. CME's on the way. Expect more. And once again, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And here's a quick reminder. Our finest days lie ahead. The end is not near. So enjoy that. Anyway, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And until next time, may that solar wind be at your back.